Welcome, everyone, to today's meeting of the Missouri Southern Board of Governors. I'll call the meeting to order and ask if there are any announcements. I said before the meeting got started that we have a photo and a presentation on campus at about 3:30, so we're going to move along on the agenda this afternoon. I appreciate everyone's attendance. You have before you the minutes of the April 30, 2020 board meeting. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we accept the minutes.
Motion by Governor Morgan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Governor Elliott. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll start our reports with Ms. Ice, the treasurer. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon. We'll look at the financial statements as of May 31st of 2020. When you look at the cash graph, it looks like we are about even Steven to where we were last year. We're down about $16,000. However, as there's been some discussion, we know about the appropriation cuts, and a lot of those have occurred within the month of June. And so we'll see that flowing through as we head towards the end of the year, and we anticipate that cash will have a decrease compared to last year, but we're not quite sure yet where that will fall out. When we move to the statement of net position, total assets are at $185 million. Total liabilities are at $124 million, and that gives us net assets of $61 million. The next statement that we look at is the comparative statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. And there's a lot of activity on here, some different changes, and a lot of that is from the CARES Act money that we have received. Money is flowing through for the student portion as well as the institutional portion. So when we look at total operating revenues, it shows we have an increase of $45,000, but that includes almost $3 million of CARES money in that total for the current year. When we look at total operating expenses, it shows an increase of about $900,000, and that as well on the scholarship line has CARES Act activity in there where we have issued scholarships to students. When we look at the non-operating revenue, you can see the impact of some of the state appropriation withholdings. We had a withholding in April of about $650,000. In May, we had $650,000. And then in June, we will also have the additional withholdings. And so when you look at that right now, we are down in state appropriations as of May, $1.3 million. That's offset a little bit. You can see the STEM appropriations, which was the one-time money, and the MoExcel's money. So those offset each other a little bit. At the end of the day, we have total non-operating expenses, a change of a decrease of $1.6 million. In the current year, we show a $1.3 million loss. The prior year had a $1.2 million gain, and that gives us $2.5 million decrease between the 2 years. I wanted to let you know that we are moving forward with our annual audit, as we always do. BKD currently right now is working a combination of remote and on-campus field work. They will start the student financial aid audit next week and some of the finance walkthrough and risk assessment worksheets that they work at. We're going to work with them collaboratively to be able to do this, some remote and some on campus, to try and respect what BKD has put in place due to the pandemic and some of the needs that we have with our conference room. We still hope to present at our November board meeting like we do every year. However, there is a caveat. There is a federal supplemental compliance that comes out, and that is not out yet, which is typically against the student financial aid. That should be out soon. However, they also expect a supplement to the supplement for the CARES Act funding. And that will not be housed under the student financial aid. At this time, they think that will be its own separate major program that will have to be reviewed and be audited. Becca's office, as well as my office, we've done a really good job of making sure that we have crossed all the Ts, dotted all the Is. We have very good documentation on how the CARES Act money is being spent. I also wanted to remind the campus that year end is June 30th, which is less than 2 weeks away. And so if you could please work to try and tie up anything that you have for year end, get invoices to our office. We try to close out fairly quickly within the first week of July. And the last and final thing that I have to say is I just want to say to Dr. Marble myself that I appreciate your leadership, your guidance, and your kindness. And it's been a pleasure to work with you.
Enjoyed working with you too.
Anyone have any questions?
Okay, we've heard a report from Linda, and hearing no questions, I'd entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Governor Haley,
Second.
second by Governor Oplotnik. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Linda. And now a report from Business Affairs, Mr. Hughes.
Thank you. We'll go over a brief construction report. And for the residence hall that we're constructing across the street, the under slab plumbing is complete and the floor slabs have been poured. The installation of the prefab wood framing sections and as well as the ceiling trusses have begun. Elevator tower is complete or 50% complete, and we are scheduled to have the whole facility complete a year from now, the year from this summer. Just a reminder that these are paid for by the bond issue and not by appropriations that Linda had indicated that are down. So they'll be paid for by rental of the student residence hall, or dorms, if you will, to the students when they're opening up a year from now. And finally, I didn't think I'd ever be able to say this, be honest with you, but
What did you tell Alan's last day? Alan's last meeting?
no, yeah, wait, that was last meeting. As we speak, there is a bulldozer down on the field by the creek.
Sorry.
Digging for the trail. So we have commenced on this project. We have started this project, and I'd like to thank Mayor Stanley with that. The city has been very diligent about their work on this, and we appreciate all the effort, the camaraderie that we're experiencing between the two entities, the city and the university. But this should be completed by mid-September. And Alan, I'm going to invite you back. By golly, you and I are going to walk that bridge, buddy.
I'll be glad to do it.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Are there any questions for Rob? All right, thank you, Rob. Now on to Athletic Director, Mr. Pressman.
Thank you. I'll be rather brief. I have just 5 points, but first, a little thing about track and field. Brian Scheiding was named the National Coach of the Year for Indoor Track and Field Championships, so it was a nice recognition. But in addition to that, the assistant coach, Brian Allen, is being inducted into Pittsburgh State's Hall of Fame, which incidentally coincided the year before where Kyle Rutledge, their assistant coach, was inducted into our Hall of Fame. So well, congratulations to those folks. As far as some athletic department success this year, we've had 23 MIAA Athletes of the Week throughout the year until the cancellation of the season. We had 2 National Athletes of the Week. We had 55 named All-MIAA and 24 were named All-Region, and as well as multiple student athletes with All-American honors. Grades were wrapped up here from the spring, so we had our 5th straight semester with a cumulative GPA above a 3.0. Actually, we're a 3.16 cumulative across the board for the 500 and so student athletes. 199 were above us a 3.0. We had 105 a 3.5 and 9 with a perfect 4.0. A couple things are going on with MIAA and NCAA. I do serve on the membership committee for the MIAA, and we're looking at adding Rogers State and Newman University to the MIAA. And I will be right now scheduled to be on Newman's campus in July and potentially in Rogers later in July. As you're probably well aware, there's been some changes in the schedule, first mandated from the NCAA and then dealt with by the MIAA with the scheduling committee, championships committee, as well as the IRC, and then finally voted on Monday by the CEOs. with the reduction in championships and the revisions of our MIAA schedule. So this week, starting on Tuesday, every day at 2 o'clock, they release a different sports schedule up and through till tomorrow. So we'll have all those out there. We do have the information available, but it's embargoed from the MIAA currently. And then the last thing, our Student Athlete Advisory Council has been meeting by Zoom, like much of everybody else on the planet. But the initiative, the MIAA initiative, the We Care stands for Wellness, Education, Compassion, Athletics, Respect, and Engagement, is going to be continuing for the next year. Also, we're doing something called the Total Package Student Athlete, which incorporates mental health, diversity and inclusion, professional development, and love to play, all as part of the initiatives for that. And the other thing that the SAC here from Missouri Southern has taken on is something called Love to Play. And that's actually where they encourage kids, youth, to stay active, but also not to burn out too early in their career by specializing in one individual sport. And so our student athletes, again, are very active in the community. They're very excited about working with elementary schools and with the youth. They also have elected their new officers, which are listed in this report as well for the upcoming year. So with that, it concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Are there any questions of Jared? So, Jared, you said potential members Rogers and Newman. Didn't we play Rogers in basketball this last year?
They are affiliated members currently of the
Affiliated members.
Yep, and there's a formal process in which to be accepted to the MIAA, and it includes on-campus visits, going through all their gender equity, EADA, all sorts of reporting mechanisms that we have to go through as a committee to make a recommendation to the CEOs for full-fledged membership.
Okay.
And then this year will be the review year, and then recommendations will come for next June, and then the CEOs would vote on it in June of the following year.
Okay.
Now, if they're recommended for full membership, they'll be the first universities without football
That's correct.
in the MIAA.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll hear from Dr. Hodson.
Thank you. I'd like to begin at the top of page 2 of my report, if I could, focusing on admissions and marketing. While they may seem like synonymous terms, the process of applying, being admitted, and enrolling are 3 distinct steps. And so students first apply, we then decide whether or not to admit them based on the entrance requirements that the board sets, and then finally we try to get them to enroll for classes. And so knowing that those are 3 separate steps, I've provided a 6-year history of those 3 activities in that graph in the middle of your report. And the yield rate is the percent of admitted students who actually end up enrolling and staying till the 20th day. And that's going to be important here in a little bit. If you look at the far right column, you can see that as of this morning, we have 1,794 applications. The reason there are asterisks in that last column is all the numbers to the left are as of census day for each of those years. We're still 12 weeks away from census day, so we don't know what the final number will be. We do know historically in July and August we get approximately 800 new applications from students waiting till the last minute, and I think it'll be even more this year given the wait-and-see attitude that many students and their parents have. So that number will surpass 2,000 and move on up towards the historic 2,300 mark likely. If you look at that yield rate across the bottom, those 5 years of yield history, if you average those together, our average yield for the last 5 years, 39.6%. And so if you apply that 39.6% to the 1,784 applications we already have, admitted students we already have, that would give us 706 students, which is just 23 short of where we were last year. And so, again, we're talking about 2 different groups. I'm referencing first-time freshmen. We also handle transfer students. Darren and his team work with the existing students to enroll them, but what I'm reporting on are first-time freshmen and first-time transfer. So we're very close from, if the yield were to hold across the average for the last 5 years, we're very close to where we ended up last year on the 20th day. So those extra 800 applications will be of great assistance. Darren, during the Budget and Audit Committee meeting, alluded to the enroll-a-thon that's occurring today in particular, but continuing all week. And then in that paragraph titled Incoming Freshman Enrollment, you can see that we've sent out 4,000 text messages in the last few weeks to students who, again, are admitted but have not enrolled, trying to push them to ACTS, to the first-year experience, to admissions, to get them to select classes for the fall and have a more firm commitment to showing up on August 17th. Finally, at the bottom of page 2, you can see that we had 179 international students here last year. That's a good number. It's not a huge portion of our enrollment, but we're very concerned about international students. You can see 3 factors that are really challenging the international student recruitment team. One is that most U.S. embassies have shut down until August, which means that those visa interviews that students in foreign countries wishing to come here to study, those visa interviews have been pushed off to August and September, past the start of school. So unless you're one of the lucky students that has an August 1st or August 2nd interview, by the time you have the interview, they make a decision, the paperwork's processed, you get it in the mail, you book a flight, and you get on that flight, they may miss the start of school. So that's one issue. The second is some countries won't allow their citizens to travel outside their country. So even if you did get the interview and get admitted and get the visa and get the ticket, you couldn't fly. And finally, at the bottom, the U.S. has banned incoming travel from China, Central Europe, the UK, Ireland, and Brazil, which represent countries from which we have international students. And so we will see a decrease in international student enrollment this fall if, for any reason, those 3 factors, any one of them, let alone all 3 combined. So, finally, on page 4, I'd like to draw your attention to, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Maybe this is a question for academic affairs, but what is the latest date then that a student could, because of these factors, a student could be accepted on the
It's
university?
first week is one policy, then second week, and then I think you're the third week, but you might explain that, Dr. Carson.
Yeah, so we do have something called a late schedule adjustment that does allow the academic leadership team to make a decision about the likelihood of success of a student coming in late. So that can go as far as 3 weeks into the semester, but our evidence suggests that students who miss more than the first 2 full weeks tend to suffer academically and not succeed as well. So after 2 full weeks, we really try to be very cautious in our approach to admitting just for their own success.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's not fine. It's a great point. The faculty and the academic leadership teams make those decisions in the first 3 weeks. So. On page 4, I want to talk about our marketing efforts as we try to attempt to scoop up as many students as we can for the fall. Our latest campaign is a quality education close to home. Perhaps you've seen the billboards or the digital ad buys. We do have several billboards placed around the area. We are doing extensive digital marketing, so sometimes folks will say, I don't see any marketing from you, and my response is, you're not an 18-year-old prospective college student. We are able to target very closely who sees it, and that makes the most use of our money, frankly. And some print ads, but the one I want to draw your attention to, and Kyle, if we could cue up the television ad that's currently running. It's on all 4 local networks and on 7 cable channels within 60 miles of Joplin, Missouri. And I want to give a shout out to Pat Nagel, our videographer. Mike Olmstead did the voiceover. It's a very good commercial.
We are so excited to see you at Missouri Southern State University, and that's our plan for the fall semester. All of us together again. Face-to-face classes and a full slate of campus activities. In the meantime, we're doing our part to make sure the process is seamless when it comes to admissions and enrollment. And our financial aid team is ready to guide you on how to complete your education regardless of your financial situation. For more information, just go to mssu.edu/togetheragain. Missouri Southern State University, a quality education close to home.
So that's running extensively on local networks and cable. What the market we're really trying to tap into is twofold. One, there are local students who are not going to make a decision about whether or not they come until they know we're going to be face-to-face. They're waiting. The other one is you've got students that may have been enrolled for up to 3 years or more at Mizzou, Missouri State, UMSL, big universities across the Midwest, and they may choose to come here just for a semester or 2 because they don't want to go to a larger population with lots of students for health reasons. They don't want to pay the sticker price for half a semester online. So we're trying to say, come here for a semester, use us, we'll transfer the credits, and then you can go back to Mizzou or wherever you want to go to when the time is right. So again, kudos to them for that marketing campaign. The last thing I'll draw your attention to at the bottom of page 4 is our 4 new foundation board members. Our board continues to grow. We have 30 members of the foundation board, up from 15 5 years ago. And so a great cohort of individuals that steward the private assets that are entrusted to the foundation.
Are there any questions? Does that complete your report?
Thank you.
Are there any questions of Dr. Hudson? All right, thank you. Thank you, Brad. Now from Academic Affairs, Dr. Carson.
Thank you. So my report is front and back page report. I tried to focus on a couple of things here with overarching principle that I'm not going to repeat some things that you all have heard throughout the entire past couple months, weekly for COVID. So what I wanted to do is talk about some revenue generation opportunities, as we spoke about in budget a little bit earlier. And then I want to talk about some initiatives that we're embarking upon to support the state recovery effort beyond the higher ed sector, but generally looking at the state strategic goals. So the first of those is that MDUDE, which is the new acronym for Higher Ed and Economic Development Combined, is embarking upon a Return Strong campaign, and they have sent out requests to different educational institutions. What they are looking for are very short-term programs that can be completed by students, often non-traditional students, and less than a semester time. And we wanted to be able to offer some of those. Obviously, in a four-year institution, most programs are much longer term in their orientation. But the Placer School of Business faculty was able to work together to come up with a couple of short-term certificates that are 18-week that can be completed in one semester, both in entrepreneurship, which we felt like was a needed area of instruction in this particular area. One is entrepreneurial planning and management, and the other is on entrepreneurial operations. So we're very excited. Those programs will be included in a relatively small portfolio of programs that Missouri is going to be promoting as part of the Return Strong. The second is Fast Track. Fast Track was started by Governor Parson in the last couple of years. Obviously, everyone very enthusiastic about the program, and with the current budget deficits, perhaps stalled a little, but we are continuing very wholeheartedly to get as many of our programs included for Fast Track consideration as possible. Fast Track is a program that the state is supporting for non-trads to return and earn higher ed credentials. We are very, very excited now that we have over 50 of our programs approved. And so if there is funding at the state level, an individual qualifies for Fast Track and the qualifications are articulated here, they can come to these programs at no cost to them. And these are programs that have to be very career-oriented, workforce-ready type programs. And so we will continue to try and get as many of our programs as possible on that particular list, because we think it's good for the citizens of Missouri, and we think it's good for our institution's vitality as well. And then the other area, the programs that historically have been known as the WIA or the WIP programs, the Workforce Investment. It is a program that has been around for quite a long time, but it is typically a program pursued by workers who have been displaced, and they're able to have state support and funding to return to school and participate in certain educational programs. We now have 39 of those programs accepted. So again, in the idea of trying to recruit students that are non-traditional, not those ones that are the 18-year-old social media students, but the non-traditional students, which is becoming an increasing focus for the state of Missouri. It's really important that we have these programs eligible, and we understand that we can demonstrate the likelihood of career success for students who come and take those. And even if there is a little break in funding or support at the state level, we're continuing to really assertively try and include our programs in those state portfolios. We are also trying to work with local health departments, county health departments to support contact tracing. There is, of course, everyone knows, an uptick in our particular geographic area as well as in Northwest Arkansas. And so the health departments have had to divert a lot of their traditional labor force over to do contact tracing. They're reaching out for volunteers who could participate in this effort. It involves really mostly telephone responsibilities, so we're not putting anybody in harm's way, but We have shared out with the faculty and staff across the campus this volunteer opportunity. It's during the summer, many people are looking for something helpful and beneficial to do, a way to give back and support others, and we think this is a very good plan. So there'll be different entities across campus that will continue to try and help with recovery from the actual healthcare side of it. The Perkins money is another area where we were not adversely impacted in budget. We talked about, Linda, being able to recover all of our MOXL's expenditures. We were super excited about that. You'll probably recall we were awarded another MOXL's, but the funding is not available for that. That was for our autism and our ABA program. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to reapply for that or if that will be awarded, but we're still interested in that program. The Perkins funding did come through, and we are very excited about it. We are one of the few four-year schools in the state that is able to earn the right to apply for a Perkins grant, and that is because we have associate degree programs. So Perkins is determined by, first of all, the baseline is how many Pell eligible kids do you have in associate degree programs, and the second major criteria is that's the maximum you can achieve. How much of that maximum you achieve is based on retention and progression of students in those programs, success in their ability to pass with high scores objective outcomes tests. So I'm really excited for the last 3 years we have been able to maximize the optimal amount of funding that we could get from those programs, and we pursue it very, very enthusiastically. This year there are 3 pots of funds. We are in the first phase, and that's a $50,000 pot. We have been approved for that expenditure with final approval of what we are intending to purchase with that on July 1st. Very excited about what we were able to buy. One is an item for Criminal Justice and Law Enforcement Academy, and it is a high-tech laser scanner that will basically sort of project from this piece of equipment a crisscross pattern. When it projects into an entire 3D area, it is able to map it, sort of sonographically, it's able to map it, and you can recreate crime scenes or any sort of places for evidence collection. So it's very, very high-tech, very advanced piece of technology. We're very excited to be able to train our students on it. The other piece of equipment was requested by respiratory therapy to be used by all health sciences, and it is a simulated tracheotomy patient, which is obviously another very relevant purchase at this time. So simulated wearable tracheotomy for a simulated patient, but it also has a ventilator. So how to use those, how to put people on those, monitor those. So we thought those were 2 very, very relevant purchases. The next set of Perkins funding is another $30,000, and in future meetings, I'll be sharing with you what we intend to purchase for those. But we're very appreciative to continue to have the opportunity for those funds. We have just recently graduated our very first Yours to Lose class, which, is almost like the fulfillment of a campus dream for us. So they finished in 3 years, and they were very, very successful, and we just accepted our 4th class. But we have 15 of our students who are going to KCU from that original class. We did have a couple who academically could not maintain the standards and were not able to be retained. We had a couple that are going to dental school instead, and we had a couple that actually are going to different medical schools. KCU is not. So, but we have 15 of them. I have regular conversations with our provost every 2 weeks. We talk and collaborate, and he told me Wednesday morning that our students are some of the best and strongest out of their entire applicant class. And one of our YTL students had the highest incoming test scores out of any of their 500 whatever applicants. So we're very, very excited about that. We had planned all along a pinning ceremony. We have the green coat when they first enter in a pinning, but obviously with COVID, we were not able to do that. But now we are planning a very special event in July, and it will be a simultaneous pinning ceremony for the incoming Yours to Lose students. Green coat ceremony for the incoming, and a pinning white coat ceremony for our departing. So we will let you know when we're able to finalize the details of that. Through the selection process with KCU, we identified, and 16 students have all accepted to become part of the Yours to Lose class for the upcoming academic year. It's continuing to work very, very well, and I am also excited to report about that. In the beginning, KCU was not completely positive of our students because of all the other special benefits that they were earning would be eligible for any of the scholarships. They would not be taking the MCAT and not going through the regular admission, so it was uncertain. And they made it very clear to us that your students will not be eligible for the scholarships, those not going through the special program are. But I think our team was really, really gratified that when they looked at the graduation records of our students, they really voluntarily said, these are some of our strongest applicants. We are happy to give them some scholarships. And so all members of our Yours to Lose class, except for two, earn somewhere between $2,500 and $10,000 a year scholarships. So again, I think it's a real testament to our academic preparation, and I'm very grateful to our partners at KCU for doing that for our students. My final item I want to report on is another grant that we received. Dr. Christine Bentley manages the Spiva Art Gallery that is associated with the art department. We have an African collection that throughout the years, I'm sure you've heard a great deal about. We have had that collection assessed many different times. It's considered to be a very, very valuable collection. And we were just awarded a grant after a thorough, very competitive application process to have some assistance with preservation of that collection, and that will help our students who will be engaged in this. But the grant essentially pays all expenses for a conservation, artifact conservation, as well as an architect team that we get to select to come here and work with our collection. So we're very excited about that to happen, and we are going to be able to tie usage of that collection in with our theme international semester, which is the Caribbean in the fall. So I think there'll be some exciting synergistic opportunities that will come along with that grant. So that's all I wanted to report. I thank you all so much for your support over the COVID season. Very much looking forward to coming back. Very much not looking forward to Alan not being here.
Dr. Carson, are there any questions for Dr. Carson? So I got a little lost in the numbers.
Yeah.
So the YTL, you had 15 go to KCU, you had a couple go to dental school, a couple go to
Other medical schools.
other medical schools, so 19 graduate?
Yeah, we probably lost, we started with 25 plus
Right.
some alternates, so we'll probably lost 4 or 5 over the 3 years for academic reasons.
Did they, so those 4 or 5, did they stay engaged in, did they find another degree, another?
Yeah, all
Other
of them
pursuits?
stayed in, pre-med programs, just not Yours to Lose. And we tried to continue to let those students be engaged in as many of the actual courses and activities as they could, because they had formed real strong cohorts and friendships. And maybe all of those ended up applying independently for KCU anyway.
So you graduated 15, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You graduated 15 and you took in 16 new.
Yeah, 15 we graduated who were going to KCU with the automatic admission.
Okay.
But we
And you
graduated.
took in 16 new to the program, but foreseeably there may be some attrition, just like there was in that first year.
Every year there's been attrition.
I was just wondering why the reduction in students accepted. I guess it has to do with applications.
Yeah, so almost on a weekly basis, this program, because there's no precedent, nothing like it anywhere else in the country, is really morphing. So the way we went through the selection process in year 1 versus the way we do it now is a world of difference.
Okay.
So now we actually have sort of a multi-day process, and there is a selection committee with 3 KCU team members and 3 of our team members, and it's very structured in terms of the questions we ask and the rubrics that we use. And so I am going to say, I think the difference is that the first year, all of the students simply had to meet some academic testing and GPA criteria.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Where we are now, just in order to ensure the success of students, there is an additional really rigorous and robust interview process that they have to achieve certain scores on from us as well as from KCU to progress into the program.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say there is an additional barrier. I will give you one example. I don't serve on that, but I had to be a substitute this year because somebody was ill. So as part of that, there was a student I was asked a question, an applicant, about motivation for medical school, which is a real big determinant of success, and said, well, it was either between medical school or this other thing over here. And the way the rubric was is that individual, because maybe they're not really determined that they want a career as a physician, they lost points for that and ended up not getting in for that. So I'm gonna say it's just a more robust selection process to ensure
And you've
as much
had
as we
new
can.
classes for each of the 3 years between this graduating class and this incoming class. So have they been around the same size too?
We've had like around 25 the
Okay.
first year, then we worked on implementation, and then we had around 16, then 15, then 17, so
Okay,
it's always
so
been
in the
just
same
under 20,
vicinity. Okay,
except for the first year.
okay.
Are there any other questions of Dr. Carson? Thank you, Dr. Carson. And now for student affairs, Mr. Fullerton.
You have my report in front of you, and I'll jump around a little bit today and try to be brief. Linda's already talked a little bit about the CARES Act, and when we talk about the CARES Act, you've heard her mention the student portion and the institutional portion, and that's the way it's divided up by the federal government. To give you an idea, and Linda said we have until early next spring to distribute the money for the CARES Act. To date, we have distributed almost 2.1 million for the student portion of the CARES Act. So that leaves us 281,000 and some change to distribute. And we are on track right now to have that distributed by the end of this month. So the student portion of the CARES Act, the almost 2.4 million, will be out of the university's hands and back in the hands of students, hopefully by July 1st, and have that taken care of and will be of assistance to those students. Some of the things we talked in the budget meeting about creative avenues, because the university was more or less working from home and online and shut down, different departments had savings over the course of the year. Project Stay is our student support services. That is a federal grant program. We're not allowed to save that money and put it back into the reserves. If we don't spend that money is lost. So we petitioned the federal government to be able to utilize some of that money that was not going to be able to be spent to provide grants to students. So we were able to provide 37 students grants of $657 to help out with their summer school tuition. And so that was almost just shy of $25,000 that we were able to grant back to students in the summer. On the second page of that report, and I won't go into detail because it's long and there is a great deal of information there, but since we do have a couple attorneys in the room on the board, the federal government changed our Title IX rules effective in May. So we have until August to implement the new Title IX regulations. This is a summary, a brief summary of the 1,500-page document that outlines the changes to Title IX. So you can see there are things that we are now going to be required to allow cross-examination. We are going to have to determine, are we using a preponderance of evidence versus clear and convincing? We will not any longer be obligated to investigate Title IX potential violations that occur overseas. We can no longer use a single investigator model, which the university does have. We have a Title IX coordinator, and then we have deputy coordinators as well for that. Basically, we have to go through a three-tiered approach, which means that you have to have one staff member that is the coordinator, one that does the investigation, then one that has jurisdiction over assigning disciplinary sanctions. And so it will definitely complicate the way that universities our size deal with Title IX and sexual assault and harassment claims. Again, one of the positive things which could come back to be a negative, colleges are not obligated. In the past, we had a particular timeline that the university needed to follow to be able to investigate that. That has been relaxed but the federal government has given us definitions of reasonably prompt time to investigate those, which can be concerning in itself. So we just want to make you aware of that. This does have to be in place, so we're working on the changes now. We have to have this in place by mid-August for the start of the fall semester with a whole new Title IX system. Rob had talked about the residence halls, and so that I can always up Rob on a couple of things. I provided pictures so that you can see on your handout what he was talking about when he mentions the slab and the elevator. And so you have some east-west facing pictures of the residence hall. If you remember, it layout is similar to a bow tie. That is described. So if you look at the picture to the right, you'll see kind of a bow tie sticking out on the end. Those are the suites, the suite styles. Those will be towers, and there will be a tower on each end of the building. And those suites will be similar to the quads, with traditional rooms in the middle of the building, as well as the study spaces and things. You have a couple of student information pieces in there. Spencer Bartlett Award, we were proud to award $8,800 in cash to students that participated in the Spencer Bartlett Respect competition. Their names are there, but I am proud to say that Miss Sarah Schultz, that's with us today, was the winner of the first place in the female division. And I will point out on page 2 that if you look at the Dolan's Leadership Awards, that Ms. Schultz was also the winner of that competition, and was the Student Leader of the Year for Missouri Southern. So we congratulate Sarah, and today is going to be her last meeting, so we'll be sad to see her go. The only other thing, Dr. Marble asked me to provide a brief update on COVID, and so I'll cover some information there. We have 21 members of the campus serving on a task force right now to discuss and document our plan for reopening face-to-face in the fall semester. The task force is looking at a variety of different factors, everything from the academic class settings, so how do you social distance, are you moving to different locations and those type of things, to how do we clean and disinfect those areas, how do we clean and disinfect the public spaces, social distancing or physical distancing, whether the university is going to recommend the wearing of masks or require the wearing of masks, which was still being discussed. Accommodations for individuals that if and when they do become sick. If you have a faculty member that actually becomes sick with COVID, making sure that the faculty in that department will cover and be able to cover. How do you deal with students that become sick and we may have to quarantine or isolate? Missouri Southern continues to follow the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and local health and state guidelines. I can tell you that our HR department and the Student Health Center are in contact with each other multiple times a day, but then they are also in contact with the Joplin Health Department, Jasper County, and the State Health Department as well. For exposures, we are reminding people to have what the health department calls a potential exposure, is that minimum of 6 feet for a time period of 15 minutes or more, and that is how they are operating right now. They're recommending, folks stay at home if you have that. It's a 14-day self-check at home, self-monitor yourself, check your temperature twice daily, watch for fever, cough, all of those symptoms. The university is working on a policy and procedure document, and I think HR has it up to about 11 pages right now. I don't know if Evan's here with us, but that'll be presented to the President's Cabinet on Monday, that outlines not only what the policy is, but outlines the CDC and the Health Department guidelines for that, which is what we are following. At this time, the Joplin Health Department is doing the contact tracing, as Dr. Carson said. They are, as the numbers increase in Joplin, they are asking for volunteers, but they anticipate that if the numbers continue to rise, they will have to have additional staff if they do not receive the volunteers. Measures that we would follow, and again, are dictated by the Joplin Health Department. A quarantine is a term, and we have a lot of people that are saying, what is quarantine or isolation? Quarantine is the term used if someone who might have potentially been exposed. If I was in an area and I fell within that 6 feet for 15 minutes and someone has tested positive, they might ask me to quarantine, and that would come from the health department, not from the university. Isolation is for people that have been confirmed to have a case of COVID. And again, that would be coming from the health department. The way the contact tracing operates is just that. They will talk to the individual who has been tested and is testing positive and say, who have you been in contact with? Have you been in contact and under that 6 feet or 15 minutes? So we have a lot of people that are asking right now, well, I saw Mick at Walmart and, you know, it was across the parking lot. I hear he has COVID. Do I need to be tested? And so again, the health department is answering a lot of questions, as well as the health center. Mick doesn't have COVID, thank you. So there is a lot of question about that hopefully we'll be able to answer with some communication going out to the campus. Operational procedures are being developed and are in place for isolating and quarantine. For the residence halls in the summer, students have their own rooms in the summer. For the fall, we will be going at a minimized capacity, so we will not be placing 4 people in the traditional apartment rooms. We will more than likely be at half capacity, which again will be a strain on the revenue source, but will be the right thing to do to social distance. We are also keeping at least a residence hall, if not 2, offline, so that if we do have positive cases of COVID, we can isolate those individuals and or quarantine if as need be to make sure that we're keeping others safe. We do have operations also, Residence Life and Food Service are doing meal deliveries if students are sick or have to be quarantined. We have some students that have allergies or that have other things as well. And so they'll be operating that type of thing in the fall as well for students if they do present any signs or symptoms where they would need to isolate or quarantine. The task force, and we mentioned the mask, we had a meeting every Wednesday for an hour and a half. I think yesterday the proposal that will be coming forward to the President's Council is that we strongly encourage students, faculty, and staff to wear masks in the fall. Many schools are strongly encouraging, a handful are mandating it, and honestly, they're still having issues of how do you mandate that and the types of conflicts that creates with people that don't wear. And then you also have students who, due to medical reasons or difficulty breathing or those type of things, may not be able to wear a mask. And then the people that don't understand that, so there's a discrepancy there. So that is a nutshell overview of some of the discussions that are going on. I think yesterday we had probably 50 things on the COVID list and got to probably half of those. But that group is meeting every week to outline to make it as safe as possible fall for our students, faculty, and staff. With that, Governor Gibson, I'd entertain any questions.
Okay, I've got a couple myself, but I'll let the other governors go first.
And I will say that the majority of the President's Cabinet and our faculty, staff, Senate individuals are on that committee as well, so.
Well, that was going to be my question, is the composition of that committee or task force, whatever you're calling it.
The only person that has not been able to attend yet is our incoming student Senate President, just because of her work and class schedule. But we have a variety of, we have the health center represented, we've got the dean sitting in on it, of course, Dr. Carson, Dr. Gunderman is representing the faculty, Deborah's representing the staff, the faculty, Senate, staff, Senate, student Senate. We have international affairs, residence life, and a wide variety of folks.
Okay, and you mentioned some communication going out to campus. Give us a flavor of what that communication is going to look like. What different channels are you going to use and things of that nature?
Yeah, right now, and that was one of the things that was discussed yesterday with Heather Lesmeister back here, is working on that communication plan so that we're not just relying on email. Email will be the fastest, and that will be the first one that we will use, but I anticipate that we will use social media as well to get that information out. The biggest thing, the CDC guidelines are out there, and that is what everyone in the country is operating under right now, but most people don't see those and understand those. And so
it shows up in your inbox.
Absolutely.
You just know that that's what it's called.
And so we're going to have that information. And again, I think Evan's done a good job of not only putting the CDC guidelines, but the self-help guidelines. We are probably answering 20 to 30 calls a day out of HR individually, HR and the health center, of what do I do? And so they're walking them through this list of questions. Have you been in contact? If you have you been informed by the health department? And so that communication will list those things as well.
And the timing on these communication efforts?
The information from the committee, some of that will be going to the President's Cabinet on Monday for discussion, and then will be sent out across campus.
Those were my questions. What questions do we have from?
I wanted to follow up on
Other governors.
communications. I think that good general communication about the guidelines are good. But levels to it, I think the university community, and this may be on your list, but there also needs, and I know individuals' healthcare information is obviously protected, but there needs to be a general, in my view, communication about what the university is doing. We're taking these calls, and so people are reassured that you know about it and it is being addressed. And I wondered, and when things change, when there's an uptick or when it eases up, people know that you're aware of that, or the university's aware, and staying on top of it. And that it'll change quickly, and there'll be levels, and it'll be dynamic. And I wondered if there's a plan by the task force to have those.
That is part of the plan that's being worked out right now.
Yeah.
Is there are certain things that have to be done today, and then that communication plan will kind of span several of those.
And of course, everybody needs to be reminded of everything we need to do all the time, but
Right.
just also, I think, just so everybody's on the same page and receiving accurate information about what's out there, which is hard right now, and they need to be able to trust their community to be able to give it.
And as hard as it is for faculty and staff, it's much harder for students, because
Yeah.
again, it's, no offense, Sarah, some students are very responsible, and other students may not take it as seriously.
Well, it's part of our mission to educate
and
responsible
exactly. So
students, and
it's
so
going
that's
to
what
have-
I'm getting at.
Have to be repetitive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But also our whole community needs to know, it seems to me. And I mean, I know you're doing it, but I think and you're doing it admirably and have since the very beginning through all phases. And I just hope as part of your task force, you will communicate what you're doing so people know. Tell them what to do, but also tell them what you're doing.
What we're doing, absolutely.
We're also going
And-
to extend the website and add additional information to the website, the emergency website.
Yeah.
So we'll have all of that will live on there all the time.
Yeah.
So there'll be that point of contact that people.
I think everybody's living in uncertainty, and when you're uncertain, you just want information that you can rely on, to the extent you can,
Darren, I have a question for you. I have two summer kids here that play football, and of course, in my 9 o'clock FaceTime call with one of them, they said, hey, we had a kid on the football team that tested positive. And so is there any communication to parents of students in regards to that, or what is the policy or procedure if that were to happen?
Yeah, really, that is all, we are being dictated by the Joplin Health Department on what to do, and they are taking the lead on who to contact. We are limited by HIPAA on what the university can do to reach out to individuals there. And there are a lot of students, I talked to a student yesterday that had allergy-type symptoms, and her friend posted that she had COVID on Facebook. And so there are a lot of rumors that we're trying to track down also. But any time that there would be a positive case, we'll work directly with the health department. Those students that are impacted would be contacted. They would be told to contact their parents because they've probably been in close contact with them. We can share with them what the university is doing. We really can't talk about the medical side of that. There was one school that got in trouble because they were posting on residence hall doors, quarantine and those kind of things, which again is against the HIPAA rules. And so we just have to be very careful and take the health department's guidelines, but we're trying to communicate as much as we can. And definitely we would keep athletics, residence hall staff, dining hall staff, and the health center in that communication loop. But we are going to be limited on how much we can reach out to parents on situations.
I had a follow-up
Mary,
question to
yes.
that. Will there be a communication to parents of incoming freshmen that this is the procedure you'll follow? So that they're feeling assured that you are going to go through these steps, even though you may not be able to notify?
Absolutely. That communication will also be posted to that website, and that way we've got multiple places for them to do that. As Governor Hirschway said, or Governor Gibson, they may not see that in their inbox and may go right over it. So we're going to try to get that out to them by email, by social media, and then also have it on our COVID webpage.
I'm on brainstorming mode now, which I don't know if that's wise in this kind of meeting, but I put together what you said, she said, with what Dr. Hodson said earlier about trying to enroll people in our campaign to enroll. So I think some communication about what we're doing and that we have it in control, even with the uptick here, might play into potential enrollees' decision-making process.
Absolutely.
Safe place to send your kid.
Yep.
Again, probably shouldn't go into brainstorming mode, but we appreciate your work on it because I think it's important to all of us.
Okay, anything else for Mr. Fullerton? Okay, thank you, Darren.
Thank
you. Today, we have new faculty Senate President, Dr. Mick Gunderman, Associate Professor of Criminal Justice.
Assistant professor. Tenured, not promoted yet.
Oh, my.
But thank you.
Yeah, let HR know.
I mean, if you're the boss.
I'm just reading what's in front of me.
I don't think our budget can handle it right now.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to provide a short report. We haven't really been able to do much this summer, although, working with Darren, working with other faculty members, we are very much putting together steps because, we just survived spring. I mean, we really did. I need to acknowledge the staff, the faculty, and the administration for their dedication to student success. If we didn't all do what we did, we wouldn't be here today. We did an amazing job, staff especially, coordinating everything. But we also know that there's a lot of challenges ahead. I'm part of the task force with Darren. We know COVID is not behind us. I mean, a lot of people are acting like it is, but it's not. And even if it was on the downtick, when we know it's actually on the uptick, we have a new normal. And we as faculty need to embrace that new normal and be prepared for the unexpected. So the faculty is working diligently to make sure that their courses, that their advising, that their service, that their scholarship can continue and we can still meet our students' needs. We also know that we're facing a budget cut. I mean, this comes with no surprise to any of us, especially those of us who were in the meeting prior to this. Faculty are concerned. Faculty are afraid. I can't tell you how many emails and text messages and phone calls I've been getting about contracts or what are we going to do in the future. I heard what such and such institution is doing. So there is a deal of unrest right now. But we also know that we are stronger than we have been. So faculty is prepared to do what we need to do, with probably some grumbling, to succeed. But we also know that there are things beyond our university. We are in a period of civil unrest due to social and systemic injustices, and faculty are aware of this, and many faculty want to do everything they can to ensure that Missouri Southern is a safe harbor for our students, for our staff, for our faculty, for every member of the campus community. So we will continue to move forward, to learn from our mistakes, to learn from our successes, to act with determination and compassion, and to grow and succeed. So I would like to introduce my executive committee. I'm Dr. Gunderman, I'm the president currently. Dr. Mauser is our past president. For the second year in a row, our president-elect has remained vacant. Hopefully, we will be able to fill it this summer. If not, we will fill it the first meeting of the fall, come hell or high water. Our secretary, again, is Dr. Jean Corthop. Our parliamentarian is Brendan Higashi, and our at-large member is Dr. Bill Fisher. So we have some returning members, so we have some solid leadership to really help us in these uncertain times. For this term, we have a number of agenda items that have rolled over from last year. First and foremost, we need to finish developing and refining our intellectual property agreement. We have grants that need it. It's been a bit of give and take, and we have that high on our priority list, as well as working towards policy language that allows for promotion and rank for our non-tenure track professors, our master instructors, our clinical instructors, as well as giving them certain needed protections. They are integral parts of our faculty and our campus community, and they need to be treated as such. Also, we will be working towards some changes to Chapter 8 of the Faculty Handbook pertaining to faculty grievance and termination policies, as well as supporting diversity and inclusion through the creation of a preferred name policy for students, staff, and faculty as well. And this is just a little bit of what I assume is going to be a mountain that we're going to have to handle in the coming year. So thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Gunderman? Thank you. Welcome. We look forward to working with you for the next year or so.
Thank you.
So we have another new member, the new Staff Senate President, Deborah Smith.
Close. Scow, like school. So Scow Smith.
Yeah,
I'll hold it against you.
I'm just gonna quit trying to read what this is, everything. Please, your report.
Thank you. So the first thing on our report was staff concerns regarding COVID-19, and I want to say that I'm in my third year here as a Senate member, and fourth year here as a staff member of the university, and there are lots of concerns that are being filtered up through the Senate. And we collected those concerns and those questions. We presented in a PC, and they responded, and we sent those responses out to the staff as well as the faculty in mid to late May. So the conversation is ongoing, and I'm very pleased with how that has occurred. The next item is the Staff Senate Mask Project. At our April meeting, we decided that we wanted to do something to help staff coming back when campus reopens on May 11th. And so we had 6 volunteers come forward, and they voluntarily hand-sewed 350 of these lovely babies, and we passed them out to faculty and staff universally. They're still available over in the HR office. They continue to make masks. That was self-funded, so senators actually donated, whether materials or money themselves. So that's a project that's ongoing. We're very excited for that. The next item is the Quarterly Service Champ Awards. That's something that we do once a quarter. It's funded by the foundation, and it's just to acknowledge individual staff members who have gone above and beyond. They have to meet one of the 5 paths of the Lion Paw, be recognized under those stipulations. So one is like respect to campus community, positive attitude, pride in work, exemplary dependability, and excellence in customer service. So our report shows April Bunch, who's a custodian here on campus, Megan Henson, who's with the registrar's office, and then Deborah Swearingen, who's a health counselor with ACTS, were the 3 that were awarded this past quarter. We'll start looking for the second quarter after June, so the first part of July, and we'll have those at the next board meeting to present. We did have a change in our bylaws. Normally, I would not be here. It would be our previous president, but we wanted to get started to have our officers as well as our chairs in place by the academic year starting July 1st. So we made changes to the bylaws to start our actual Senate year immediately following after our June meeting. And then the last thing is we did our election. So we have 5 new senators. I listed them here in the report. We also voted in our officers. So our president-elect is Mike Ofer, who is the supervisor of custodial staff here at Missouri Southern, and then our secretary is Ashley Brownfield from IT, and then Craig Thompson is our parliamentarian. He's with the Student Success Center. And that is it.
All right, thank you, and welcome. Thank you for your report. Are there any questions? All right. So now we'll move on to the winner of the Dolan Student Leader of the Year, and also, let's see, what else? Oh, every other award is available, right? And this is
Something
your,
like that.
unfortunately, Sarah, this is your last meeting, right?
Yes.
All right, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. So basically, due to kind of the shortened, I guess, Senate session, our exec team was still meeting over while we're all at home, but it kind of started delaying in projects that we are working with companies on that front. So while those have been delayed, I am confident that the new exec team and Haley Ward, she'll be my successor, and they'll continue to implement those projects, as well as continuing to improve the quality of the student experience here at Southern. And then lastly, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone I've worked with as Student Senate President and throughout my time here. While this is an unprecedented time, I am optimistic about the future of Southern and what it holds. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Ms. Schultz?
Something for you.
A presentation? Yeah.
Yep, just a little something that we were gonna give Sarah as a going away gift. The faculty and the staff senates meet on different schedules. The student senate, actually, the executives are forced to meet every week for an hour to 2 hours individually with our staff, and then they also meet as a body for 1 to 2 hours every week. And so they get a lot of quality time, and all they get is a little appreciation at the end of the year. They don't get a stipend like some universities do. So we really do appreciate what the student government does here at Missouri Southern, and definitely appreciate Sarah. So,
Sarah, thank you.
Thank you all.
Let's give her a hand.
What are her future plans?
What are your future plans?
Well,
Thank
for
you,
n-
Governor Hirschway.
I'm continuing to work at the law firm I've been at throughout my time here, and then I plan to apply to law school next fall. So, we will
Good
s-
luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We had one, no, we had, did academic affairs meet?
We had a digital meeting, so I have a quick update.
Why don't you give us a report on that?
In the program, there's a one-page handout, academic affairs. We just had a digital vote on a couple of undergraduate certificates that are new, the European Studies Certificate and the Hazardous Material Management Certificate. And then a new major, Bachelor of Science in International and Political Affairs, concentration in social science education. And that was all we had to cover. And we just did that digitally as opposed to a meeting this month.
Do you need that approved by the full board?
We do.
We do. Is that a motion to approve that?
That's a motion to approve it as mentioned.
I thought so.
And
Is
I
there-
will second that motion.
Is there a sec, Governor Hirschway seconds? Any further any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And Governor Haley,
Yes, we
all
had-
good news from the budget committee, right?
Right. So we did have Budget and Audit Committee meeting this morning to talk about the status that we're in after the governor's withholdings and dealing with COVID. So historically, we would set and approve a budget at this meeting until we get some finalized appropriation numbers from the governor. We have decided to wait and to finalize our budget for fiscal year '21. So far, cash is holding steady. We'll wait to the end of the month to see how it plays out before we can finalize the budget as well. But other than that, I think we're just kind of in a holding pattern until numbers get to a final state before we can finalize a budget and know how things will look going forward. Probably the one thing that I think of as a budget is, budgets are flexible. They normally change all the time, but I think this may be a year where our budget may be a constant change of every month. So we will see how that plays out. But hopefully, as we talked about in the Budget and Audit Committee, Missouri Southern is stronger now than we have been in the past, and so we will weather the storm.
Excellent. Thank you, Governor Haley. Dr. Marble?
Thank you. Governor Gibson, appreciate it. A lot of challenges this spring. We have a copy of my report, so I won't go line by line. A lot of things have been talked about already, but budget cuts, COVID, stay-at-home orders, a lot of things to deal with this spring. But I don't think anything compares to the senseless death of George Floyd
And that inexcusable tragedy really caused me to think long and hard about the world in which we live and how we can make it better. Even though I know none of us in this room would condone what happened or even anything similar to what happened that caused Mr. Floyd's death, I think it comes to us to try to create an inviting and comfortable campus experience for our minority students, minority faculty, and minority staff. A campus experience that in every way is the same as the experience that the white majority enjoys. And to that end, and you mentioned earlier, Governor Gibson, this afternoon at 3:30, several of us will meet for a photography session to demonstrate our support for a public statement that's authored by the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And I believe every word of the statement and would read it to you, except I can't because 3:30 is when they're going to announce it. But I do want to invite the media to join us, and Board of Governors certainly invited to join for the picture too, because I think this is a turning point time in the relations in this country. And as I don't want to embarrass Governor Haley, but as his brilliant editorial pointed out, we all have a role to play, and this university should take a leadership role in my view. So with that, let me move to the budget, which we all enjoy so much. COVID-19 caused, obviously, healthcare problems across the nation and in our state, but also caused some economic impact that was very severe. As a stay-at-home order took effect, basically the economy shut down, and so the income to the state of Missouri fell. And we operate, obviously our appropriations are based upon what the state of Missouri can take in, and the greatest source of income to the state is personal income tax, which kind of fell flat when people were staying home. Sales tax is second highest. It fell flat too, and even lottery proceeds were down during that period of time. And then to make matters worse, or maybe better, I'm not sure, it depends on which side of the fence you're on, tax filing for 2019, income tax filing, moved to July. So typically what we would know on April 15th really won't be known until July. All those things come together to lead us to where Governor Haley mentioned a while ago. It'd be very hard to set a budget, and we really won't be able to do that until later. We are fortunate to have reserves that were built up, frankly, as a result of the hard work that the faculty and staff did on this campus through GGOE first and now Empowering You. Frankly, it's put us in a much, much better place than many universities around the country. So I too, Sarah, am hopeful for the future. I think this university has a very bright future ahead of us. But we have to be prepared for some cuts for next year. I think there's no question about that. There's no way that the governor has to balance the budget every year. The Constitution of Missouri doesn't allow deficit spending, so we will find out what's going to happen later in July or August. COVID-19. Darren did a great job covering what's been done, but I think some things can't be repeated too often. So I just want to remind people that we're encouraging social distancing, as you can see today. We want folks to wear masks. When they can't social distance, wash your hands frequently, use soap, and take 20 seconds to do it at least. And use the hand sanitizers. I don't know how many hand sanitizers we put up around campus, Rob, but a lot. So use those and encourage the students to do the same. Because as Mick, I think, mentioned earlier, this thing's not gone. COVID's still here, and we can have a resurgence that can hurt not only physically, but hurt us in a lot of other ways. So let's try to take care of ourselves and take care of the campus. I guess really just lastly, briefly, I'd like to say thank you to everyone in this room and everyone that's associated with this university. I opened the year really talking about something that a mentor of mine told me about: beware of the last times. And so, the last basketball game that you're going to see. and the last commencement, which happened to be in December. I thought it was gonna be in May, was not. Last board meeting, and this happens to be it. So I need to, if I could thank everyone, it would take forever, but I'd like to thank the professionals around this table. President's Cabinet are a fabulous group. I thank the University Council people. All of you have been involved with empowering you. Thank you. Faculty, staff, and student senates, you've all been fabulous. Laura Boyd, thank you. And Sharon Odom before her. And every other professional on this campus. Nick, Kevin, I see some of you folks out there, Marcy, Lorinda, Rick, all of you. Thank you for making this a great experience, but most of all, thank you to the board. It's been a privilege of a lifetime, and Lori and I are very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to say thank you in a lot of different ways in a few minutes, but for right now, thank you. Goodness, I said a few weeks ago, we intended to have a lot of events in the community and on campus, and we were not able to do that.
They were COVID crunched.
They were COVID crushed. So give me a couple of minutes, and then we're going to get back to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Is there any other old business? Hearing none, let's move on to new business. Paula, did we cover the academic proposals with Governor Plotnick's?
We certainly did, and I really want to express my appreciation to the committee for considering and doing the electronic vote. It allowed us to get these things into the HLC MDAG cycle a half a year sooner, so we're very grateful.
Excellent, thank you. So, it is that time of, it's that time of the year to elect officers. And I'm going to start with the secretary. I have, currently our secretary is Laura Boyd. I asked her before the meeting if she would consider serving again, and she said yes. So, do I have a motion to elect a secretary for the board?
So moved.
And that you're nominating Laura Boyd?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and do I have a second to that?
Second.
Second from Governor Hirschway. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Train on down the track.
We'll get this train moving. We also need to elect treasurer for the next fiscal year, and our current treasurer is Ms. Ice, and I spoke to her as well before the meeting, and she said she would serve again as treasurer for the organization. So do I have a motion to elect Linda to be treasurer for the next year?
So moved.
By Governor Rosenberg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Governor Richard. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that brings us to vice chair. Do I have a motion to, for vice chair of the board?
Yes, I move that we nominate, or I nominate Governor Plotnick as
I have
vice
a
chair.
motion to elect Governor Plotnick as vice chair of the board. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Second from Governor Rosenberg. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, all those in favor of electing Governor Plotnick as vice chair of the board, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations. Do you have anything you want to say?
Nope.
Okay. That brings us to chair, board chair. Do I have a motion for board chair?
Mr. Chairman,
Governor Elliott.
pleased to place a nomination, Allison Hirschway, for our next board chair.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to elect Governor Hirschway as board chair. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second, Governor Richard. Are there any other nominations for board chair? Hearing none, all those in favor of electing Governor Hirschway as board chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations. Do you have anything to say?
Thank you. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with all of you. I'm glad to have got to know you serving on the board. And we have some challenges, but you guys are great. and I'm humbled to be back here from where I graduated. It's unbelievable, but that I come this far, I know the university with all of you guys can come even farther. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Hirschway. All right, so I mentioned a couple of, is there any other new business before I go on to the things that I've got on my list? Thank you. Okay, so, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we intended to have a lot of events that recognize Dr. Marble for his service to the university. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to read into the record a resolution. That's for you. A resolution establishing a scholarship, whereas Dr. Alan Marble has served nobly and with distinction as president of Missouri Southern State University, Joplin, Missouri, and whereas the Board of Governors wishes to establish the Dr. Alan Marble Presidential Scholarship to honor Dr. Marble for his service. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Board of Governors of Missouri Southern State University as follows. The Board authorizes William Gibson to solicit on behalf of the Board of Governors individual contributions from current and past members of the Board of Governors, the Missouri Southern Foundation Board of Directors, the Missouri Southern Alumni Association Board of Directors, and the Linebacker Steering Committee, and Friends of Missouri Southern State University. Contributions shall be deposited with the Missouri Southern Foundation Dr. Alan Marble Presidential Scholarship. The Board of Governors authorizes Mr. Gibson to request of the Missouri Southern Foundation that a scholarship agreement be developed for the Dr. Alan Marble Presidential Scholarship. Said agreement shall be written according to the desires of Dr. Marble as to scholarship award criteria. This resolution shall take effect and be in full force immediately after its adoption by the Board of Governors, adopted by the Board of Governors of Missouri Southern State University this 18th day of June, 2020. I would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
I would move we adopt the resolution.
I have a motion by Governor Hirschway to adopt the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Governor Morgan. Any discussion on the resolution? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you so very much.
We will, I'll get to work.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll get to work. Second thing on my list is we have a recognition from the city of Joplin. Governor Rosenberg has coordinated this, so I'll turn the floor to him.
Well, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Honorable Ryan Stanley, Mayor of the City of Joplin, who would like to make a presentation.
Benji and Dr. Marble, I'm putting hand sanitizer on, so if you want to shake my hand, it's your choice. So it's as clean as it's going to get. So
I'm doing the same.
I'm gonna come to
Are
you.
you coming up here?
I'm gonna come to you. Yeah. Okay. As I walk, I was sitting in this room thinking of the partnership that the city has with the college, and so much of that partnership was fostered and nurtured and developed by you, Alan. Think about the downtown investment and the move to bring part of the campus to downtown. I think of the third Thursdays and having the roads packed with the football players and the students, and certainly love that. And I think we're looking forward to the new trail that I guess was a long time coming. So I thank you for educating our new city manager, and thankful to have him here and to have a local person leading us, just like you were a local person leading this university. And I also think of the education of our police force, which is we take, we hold sacred at how proud we are of them, but also how hard that job is, especially in a time like this. So before I read the proclamation, I was told by my wife to make sure that I complimented Lori. She has been so good to Amanda, and Amanda cannot say enough good things about Lori, and certainly, we're proud of her as well. So, with that, a proclamation. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I think most people in this room know your pedigree and your backstory. I will read one line from it. Whereas Dr. Alan Marble is highly respected by the community college and university sectors as a thoughtful leader and an advocate for closer collaboration between higher education and business and industry. And whereas Dr. Alan Marble's passion for education, commitment to the community, business acumen, and servant leadership have positioned Missouri Southern for a bright future. Now therefore, I, Ryan Stanley, Mayor of the City of Joplin, Missouri, on behalf of the Joplin City Council, do hereby recognize Dr. Alan Marble for his tireless efforts, distinguished tenure, and lasting legacy that will continue to benefit Missouri Southern State University and the entire region, and further, do hereby extend best wishes to Dr. Marble and his wife Lori for a long and happy retirement.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, Mayor Stanley. Next, Sarah Schultz is back up, so come up here, Sarah.
So we've been talking about this for a while. Student Senate really wanted to do something to show our appreciation of you and how long you've been here and all the help you've done to Missouri Southern. So I'll go ahead and read a proclamation, and it starts with, whereas the Student Senate of Missouri Southern State University desires to acknowledge President Alan Marble for his distinguished career, service, and leadership to Missouri Southern State University. And whereas the Student Senate would like to acknowledge Dr. Marble's 7 years of leadership as the fifth president of Missouri Southern State University, the Student Senate would also like to acknowledge Dr. Marble's servant leadership, passion for education, and the dedication to the student, faculty, and staff of Missouri Southern State University. And whereas the students of Missouri Southern recognize that the departure of President Alan Marble represents the loss of a dedicated president, supporter, and friend to Missouri Southern State University. It is hereby proclaimed that the Student Senate of Missouri Southern State University recognizes the dedication and achievements that President Marble has made to Missouri Southern State University, the City of Joplin, and the state of Missouri. The students will miss your leadership, dedication, and service to this institution. Thank you.
Governor Richard has been coordinating recognition from the Missouri State Senate. I'll turn the floor over to him.
Well, actually, Senator White had a conflict and asked me to present this to you, and I'm not going to read this because it has a lot of similar comments. The good thing about a resolution, Missouri Senate, when you have debate and hardly ever get a unanimous vote, it was a unanimous vote calling on the state to recognize President Marble and all his activities and his worth that he's been given to this community and this university. So it gives me great honor to give a unanimous vote that the Missouri Senate recognizes you and your efforts and your wife.
Thank you, sir.
Great.
And Governor Elliott has been coordinating recognition from the Missouri House. Floor is yours.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Chairman, to introduce State Representative Ben Baker. He has the House resolution.
Welcome, Representative Baker.
I want to say I appreciate Dr. Marble. He lives in the same city I do, and it's a great place. And I always try to push Neosho any chance I get. So I'm just going to read this. It has several things that I would like to mention, and this is also signed by our other area representatives who could not be here today. Representative Lane Roberts, 161st District, Dirk Deaton, 159th, Representative Bob Bromley, the 162nd, and Representative Cody Smith, 163rd, and Representative Ann Kelly, District 127. It says, whereas the members of the Missouri House of Representatives hold in high esteem those Show Me State residents who have proven down through the years to be exemplary citizens in local communities through the excellence of their leadership endeavors in higher education. Whereas Dr. Alan Marble of Neosho, Missouri will retire from his position as president of Missouri Southern State University on June 30th, 2020, following 6 years of admirable leadership. Whereas during his tenure at Missouri Southern State University, Dr. Alan Marble implemented several major building initiatives, supported the introduction of graduate programs, and launched the Yours to Lose Advanced Medical School Acceptance Program, an exclusive partnership with Kansas City University, and the Empowering You initiative that has created a culture of openness, employee involvement, and financial awareness on campus. Whereas the recipient of numerous awards and recognitions, Dr. Marble has also enjoyed recognition by co-founding the Board of Directors for the Missouri Energy Initiative, serving on the Missouri Higher Education Performance Funding Task Force, being appointed to the Missouri Tax Credit Reform Commission by former Governor Nixon. Whereas prior to assuming his responsibilities as president of Missouri Southern State University in 2014, Dr. Marble served 7 years as president of Crowder College, where he worked for 27 years, serving as business manager and dean of development prior to being named president. Thank you so much for your service at Crowder College. That means a lot to me. Whereas a trustee for the First Christian Church of Neosho, Alan Marble has been blessed with the love and support of a wonderful family whose members include his wife, Lori Marble, 2 sons, Dexter and Logan, 1 daughter and her husband, Jessica and Caleb, 2 granddaughters, Poppy and Rigby. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the Missouri House of Representatives 100th General Assembly, join to applaud the personal and professional accomplishments garnered thus far in the life and work of Dr. Alan Marble, and to convey to him this legislative body's most heartfelt best wishes for the long, fruitful, and enjoyable retirement that he so justly deserves. Thank you so much.
Representing Representative Long's office is Mike Landis.
Well, first of all, personally, we've known each other a long time, and I really do appreciate your friendship and everything that you've done personally for the university. And on behalf of Congressman Long's office, we'd like to present you with a flag that's been flown at the U.S. Capitol. So here's a little certificate with it.
There it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you for your service.
And representing Senator Blunt's office is Tyler Mario.
I've not used the new Germexes on campus yet, so I can hold off on the
That's
handshake.
okay.
But it's an honor to be here today representing Senator Blunt. Thank you for your services.
Thank you, sir.
Missouri Southern will always be a special place to me. I'm actually a recent graduate of Missouri Southern. You were my president during my time here at Missouri Southern, and so I thank you for that. You made it a wonderful experience. You have a wonderful staff, and you are to be commended for your utmost just respect for higher education. So thank you for your years of service. Although I do have a video from Senator Blunt. He was really looking forward to this year's graduation, of course, to speak. But now you have the second best thing. You get a live video from Senator Blunt. So
Great, thank you.
for your years of service.
Thank
We do
you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
You're going to want
Go
to get
see
it out
it.
there so you can see that.
Hi, I'm Roy Blunt. I wish I could be with you there today. I'm certainly looking forward to the chance to speak at both of the commencement exercises that were scheduled for this year, but a lot of people's schedules got changed in a lot of ways that nobody anticipated. No book written on what campus leaders had to deal with at the time that we saw things happen in ways and have reverberations in ways that we wouldn't have anticipated. This is a unique time for our students. It's a time when we have to think about what we're going to do next year without enough information. Decisions had to be made about this summer and about finishing the school year. But I will tell you, in my view, nobody was better prepared to make those decisions than Dr. Marble. He's a great friend, a great advisor, has done so much for Missouri higher education. Now, every time he retires, I'm disappointed, but so far he's not been very good at retiring, so I'm also interested to see what he really winds up doing next. But I want to thank Bill and the board for giving me the chance to just say a few things today about Alan. He has served so well. I've called him so many times for advice on year-round Pell Grants and what we need to do to make programs work more effectively. We've seen him work effectively to take advantage of new opportunities in the Joplin area in medical education and other things. His time spent in community college education made him a leader there. Certainly his sincere dedication to making the lives of students better, and frankly, making the lives of everybody who's part of the campus community better. It's not an easy job. It's a job I had for 4 years, and I understand that there are a lot of pressures and a lot of things that go into that daily role of being a leader, of telling the stories that Alan was willing to tell over and over again, to continue to impress, one, what resources were available at the time, and two, what the goal was that everybody on that campus and associated with the university need to be working on. I know he told the board that, he told the faculty and staff that, he told the students that. Certainly, I've been on the campus lots of times, now more than one campus where Alan was a leader. We've worked together over many years on many initiatives. I miss seeing Alan in this job, but I don't intend to miss seeing Alan. Alan, look forward to seeing you soon. Look forward to seeing how long this retirement lasts, and I appreciate you and your family and all you've done for education, for students, for families, and for Southwest Missouri.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your friendship. You're going to be sorely missed around here.
I'll be around some.
I know. So we're going to have some punch-and, well, not much punch and cookies. We're going to have some tea and cookies, looks like. And then we're going to have the photo thing at 3:30.
Yep.
I'm told that the UMR is producing a video about you. They don't have it ready yet.
That's a little frightening, but
They say it's going to be ready Monday.
Mike's doing it all no.
They say it's going to be ready Monday.
Good.
But again, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank
floor is
you,
yours.
everyone. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Anything else?
Now, let's just go have some cookies.
Draw your attention to the meeting dates. I think at the Budget Committee this morning, you said a tentative August 12th date. You've got the other dates.
We all talked about, and that was, because we need the budget meeting, and that was acceptable to Governor Haley, and it's a tentative, so it could change. So we'll add August 12th to that.
Any other business? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Governor Plotnick, second. Governor Richard. All those in favor, please say aye. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you all.